everybody? We got another episode of the Breaking the Internet podcast. Wildcard weekend is over. It's definitely a wild one. Brandon, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was thinking. A lot of blowouts, like Leicester football, and Cowboys are home. So
We are
same
going to
old, same old.
talk about the Cowboys.
Yep.
The whole NFC, not the whole, but each NFC East team, I picked them to win. They lost. Can't count on the NFC East for nothing. But let's get into this opening drive, shall we? The Saints have fired their offensive coordinator, Pete Carmichael, after 15 seasons. I believe they let go of everybody on the offensive side of the ball, if I'm not mistaken. Eagles All-Pro center Jason Kelsey has announced his retirement after 13 seasons. Rams tight end Tyler Higbee tore his ACL in a loss against the Lions. John Schneider is in charge of the coaching staff and personnel for the first time as the Seahawks GM. And Mike Tomlin tells the Steelers players he plans on coaching the team in 2024. All right, let's get into the most competitive game of the weekend. Lions beating the Rams 24-23. It was a competitive game from the start. Both teams scored in their opening drive. Lions scored a touchdown. The Rams came back and scored a field goal. I thought this game was going to be, a shootout just because of how the first half went. After the first half, it was 17-21, Rams 17, the Lions 21. And then that second half came and the defense tried to settle in, basically exchanged field goals after that. Sam Laporta played. He was a big help for for the Lions. Jared Goff, he had himself a decent game. No turnovers. Very, conservative, but efficient with the ball. And I was surprised. I didn't see much from Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I thought they would have a little bit more impact, but they didn't really do too much. David Montgomery actually got a little bit more carries than Jahmyr Gibbs. Also a little surprising to me, but it worked out for the Lions. Amon Ron St. Brown, had himself a huge game, 7 receptions, 110 yards. But the Rams, like I said, I thought the Rams would do their thing. I thought Matt Stafford, he would come in and play well. He did get booed. They booed him, his wife, and his 4 daughters. Ruthless crowd out there. But hey, playoff game, you're the enemy now. But yeah, Stafford, he did his thing out there too. He had 2 touchdowns. Puka Nacua, I don't want to say he had a breakout game, but it was the playoffs, and he put up one of his best performances of the season. But 9 receptions for 180 yards and that touchdown. So I mean, overall, this was the best game of the wild card of the weekend for me, my opinion. But what did you think of this game?
For sure, I definitely agree. Best game by far, as I mentioned in the top. Bunch of blowouts this weekend and just one point game. Definitely not the way I thought it was going to go. Thought the Rams would come out and be more successful throwing the ball around the yard. At least get in the end zone a little bit more. Puka Nacua, that you mentioned, he did exactly what I thought he was going to do: destroy and expose the Lions secondary. But in the end, that Detroit fed off the energy of the home crowd. You mentioned how they booed Stafford and company and his family. Jared Goff played mistake-free football, which is what they needed. Um, but the Lions' run game, it did help them in short, down the go distance. They had those 2 touchdowns there in the goal line area, 11 yards or less. That's exactly what they've done over the last couple of years. But defensively, I called on Aiden Hutchinson to be a difference maker. He did just that. 5 quarterback hits on Stafford, 6 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, and a pair of sacks. Definitely showed out in his playoff debut. So congratulations, Detroit Lions fans. You're on to the next round. They'll have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers there next week at Ford Field. All right, everyone. Packers and Cowboys. Cowboys fans, another early exit from the playoffs after a 48-32 loss against the Green Bay Packers. Dallas was clearly exposed in this one. I think the Lions set it up a couple weeks ago as far as them at home. How they kind of ran over them, especially the secondary wise. something we touched on all season though, their inability to run the ball and the inability to stop the run. It's something that Cowboys fans know. It's something that they know, and it definitely was on display there Sunday afternoon. I think Shannon Sharp said that Aaron Jones basically looked like Eric Dickerson out there running the ball. 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards rushing. Michael Parsons was basically shut out from a defensive standpoint. The secondary let J-Lo do whatever his little heart desired. Speaking of J-Lo, he basically was just short of becoming the first quarterback in his debut to have a perfect QBR in his playoff debut. But the game got, they was well ahead in the top of the fourth quarter. Matt LaFleur pulled him out. Then they put him back in, and he had a couple of passes that messed up that perfect QBR. But definitely a very good game for someone in their road debut in the playoffs in front of a raucous crowd there in Dallas. Very good job for Mr. Love. I honestly thought Green Bay didn't have enough to keep up with Dallas's offense, and they definitely proved me wrong. So, yeah, great win for Green Bay and the Packers. Definitely looking forward to Saturday night coming up against the San Francisco #1 seed 49ers there at Levi Stadium. What was your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, we were texting about this game. I said I was shocked. You said you weren't. I wasn't. I want to say I wasn't shocked that they lost. I was just shocked at how they lost. I didn't expect them to get the doors blown off them. Dak Prescott came up there flat. CD Lamb was dropping balls. I mean, just no good chemistry. The defense was just getting ran over. Like you said, they couldn't stop the run. Aaron Jones, 3 touchdowns. Jordan Love had 3 touchdowns. I mean, they scored like 6 out of their first 7 possessions. The Packers did. It was just complete annihilation. A lot of the media were talking about it. That first drive, the Packers ran drove down the field. It was like a 12-play, 75-yard drive, and they scored a touchdown. And everybody was like, "Uh-oh!" And Dallas comes out, don't do shit. Packers come back out, and eventually, Dak does Dak things. He throws a pick six. I was just like, I tweeted out it might be a long game for Dak Prescott. It definitely was a long ass game. I mean, I was just like, wow, this is crazy. I was literally, Jerry Jones. He said he was like, yeah, I think they were expecting them to win. They must have looked past Green Bay. Green Bay got in that ass, man. At home too. I mean, I think the first quarter, I saw they cut in the crowd. People were crying already. The first quarter, it might have been a little kid, but still, the first quarter, I was like, damn, typical Cowboys. So, I mean, yeah, that was just that and the Texans Browns games, two of the bigger shockers to me. But this Packers Cowboys game, I think this is going to sting the Cowboys for a very long time. Heads might roll. I don't know what the coaching situation is going to be like. I don't know what Dak's future is going to be like. It's going to be very interesting for the Cowboys this offseason. That's for sure.
Most definitely. All right, before we look at the other scores from Super Wildcard Weekend, this episode is brought to you by Premium, a CBD and wellness company. Check out their full line of CBD-infused products, which make great stocking stuffers for the upcoming holiday season. Perfect for athletes, weekend warriors, soccer moms, and even armchair quarterbacks. They have CBD-infused honey, which is a personal favorite, as well as tinctures and mint and regular flavor. Most importantly, they are veteran and women-owned, so come get some of this sweet temptation and taste the premium difference. Use the code B&E for 15% off your order. Their website is www.premium.com. That's PREHEMIUM.com. Again, PREHEMIUM.com. And now back to our show. On Saturday, the Texans, they manhandled the Browns 45-14. Chiefs sent the Dolphins home 26-7. Bills were all over the Steelers 31-17. And the Bucks crushed the Eagles 32-9. Which one of these games caught your eye, or was the biggest surprise for you?
Definitely the Texans Browns. At first, it was turning out to be a really good game. Both teams were scoring back to back, and then the Texans, they kind of just when they scored, it was like something like it was either like a blown coverage or something. It was like somebody be wide open. I remember Reverend Jordan later, he caught that 76-yard touchdown. They said he got a drug test after that. and then Joe Fluco, as I like to call him, threw those two pick sixes back to back. I was just like, yeah, that's the Joe Flacco. That's the Joe Fluco I know.
Yep.
Brandon, I'm sure you got some memories of doing that too back in the day for the Ravens. But yeah, that was definitely the most shocking. I'm also shocked by this Bucks Eagles game. You know, just the Eagles. I don't know what they're in another situation like the Cowboys. I don't know. They got a lot of decisions to make. Head coach might be gone because it's just a total collapse the second half of the season. Just a terrible game. AJ Brown didn't play. He had that knee issue. They could have used him. Devontae Smith had a great game, but people kind of arguing on the sidelines. Dallas Goedert, I don't know if he was yelling at Jalen Hurts or whatever, but just wasn't a good look overall for the Eagles. Terrible way to end the season. And congrats to the Bucks. I mean, Baker Mayfield keeps prolonging his career. I'm sure he'll get a contract now with the Bucks. If not, he'll get another opportunity somewhere else, I think. But yeah, salute to the Bucks going to the next round. Dolphins 26-7. That was kind of surprising, but not really. I expected the Chiefs to win that game, and they did. I just thought the Dolphins would put up a little bit more of a fight, but didn't turn out to end that way. What about you, man? Any of these games surprise you?
Yeah. I agree with the way the Texans beat over the Browns. Um, I thought Houston would go win that home game. I thought the crowd would definitely assist them with that, but I didn't think it would be that much of a blowout. Like you mentioned, Joe Flacco, the pick sixes. I saw bits and pieces of this one, but it kind of reminded me of the his rookie playoff debut. Well, it wasn't his debut, but the AFC Championship game. He threw a pick six to James Harrison, and sorry, it wasn't a pick six. It was an interception at the end of the game to seal the game for the Steelers. So yeah, that kind of brought back flashbacks for me. Chiefs and the Dolphins. The score is kind of surprising, but the outcome wasn't because the way they beat them over in Germany, I think it was. Um, I think they went up 21-0 in that game, and they came back to score two touchdowns. And then Bucks and the Eagles. I picked the Bucks in that one. I didn't think it would be to this outcome as well. Um, Tampa Bay dominated on every facet of the game, offense, defense, and special teams. So, yeah, shout out to the Bucks. Don't know how far they'll go, um, but like I texted you, it was either at halftime or the start of the fourth. I said if Bake plays a mistake-free second half or fourth quarter, they got it because Philly was making some plays there for a little bit, and then it just Tampa Bay just kept scoring. So
Baker Mayfield, he did try to give the Eagles a chance. He did.
yeah,
I think one of the Eagles players dropped the interception, but he did try
mhm,
to give the Eagles a chance. But yeah.
gotcha.
Also, just a quick shout out to the Bills beating the Steelers 31-17. The Steelers, that was a frustrating game to watch from the standpoint of I wanted it to be a good game. It's like every chance the Steelers tried to make something happen, they shoot themselves in the foot. George Pickens fumbled the ball. Pat Fryer moved. He looks like he fumbled the ball, but somehow the Steelers got the ball back, according to the referees. But it was a kind of a frustrating game to watch in the standpoint of you want to watch a good football game, and the Steelers would just do dumb things. And you got Josh Allen with that 50-yard run, like just blowing past the defense. I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah, shout out to the Bills. Who play, who they got next week? They got Kansas City. Kansas
yep,
City is coming to the Bills, so that should be a really good game.
yeah. First road playoff game for Patrick Mahomes. Looking forward to it. So, do you have player awards?
Yep. Player
Okay.
award. I'll let you start. Who you watch?
Yeah, offensive player. Of course, I'm going to go with Jordan Love. Uh, Pressure was on him for taking over for Aaron Rodgers in his playoff debut. A raucous Dallas crowd, like I mentioned early on. He went 16 for 21, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns. And I mentioned the fact that he had a perfect QBR when they was up by so much, and then the defense kind of let Dallas back in the game, and they had to pull him back in, and he had a couple of incompletions. But um, in my opinion, that was a perfect QBR. No matter what had happened on the record book. So, who was your offensive player of the week?
Sticking with the same team, but I got Aaron Jones. Hell of a game, 118 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns too. So yeah, I got Aaron Jones running back as my offensive player of the week. Who you got for defensive?
Okay, defender is another guy in his playoff debut, near and dear to your heart, Aiden Hutchinson. He was all over the former line, Mr. Stafford. 5 quarterback hits, 2 tackles for losses, 6 tackles overall, and 2 quarterback takedowns. What about you?
I'm gonna go with the Texans player Christian Harris. 8 total tackles, a sack, a pick six, and he also had a pass deflected. So yeah, Christian Harris had himself a hell of a game on the defense side of the ball. Who you got for special teams, sir?
Special teams, I'm going Harrison Butker, the Chiefs kicker. 2 extra points and a perfect 4 for 4 field goals there in the frigid Kansas City temperatures on Saturday night. We all know how cold it was there. You know that ball gets um, it's a whole different handling when it comes to that weather. So yeah, shout out to Mr. Bucker there with Chiefs. What about you?
I'm gonna go a little different on this one. I'm taking a punter for the Lions, Jack Fox. He only had 3 punts, but they were all inside the 20, and he had an average punt of 49 yards with his longest punt of 61 yards. So I think he had a real impact on the field position for the Lions. So I'm gonna give a little nod to the punters out there. There was also a punter for the Bills. I think he almost what it was either the Bills or the Steelers, but he almost blew his hamstring. I don't know if he did blow his
Oh, damn.
hamstring when one of the Steelers players they had blocked a field goal and they were trying to everybody was running to get to the ball and I guess he was a long snapper on that play for the Bills, but he pulled his hamstring. You can see him like start limping as he was getting close to the ball. I was like, God damn punters, it's something boy. But yeah, Jack
Gotcha.
Fox, my special teams player of the week.
Okay, Bonehead. I don't know if you had one. I didn't necessarily have one, but I'm just going to give it to the entire Dallas Cowboys coaching staff and players. You go 8-0 at home. You're dominating teams pretty much 30 points, 40 points per game at home. They had a couple shutouts there at AT&T Stadium. Yes, they were against mediocre teams, but you welcome in Jordan Love and the 7 seed Packers, and they go up 27-0 on you at home, and end up putting up 48 on you and send you packing. You know, it's something we're used to for the Cowboys, but we're not used to them going undefeated at home and really 16 in a row, I think, overall, something like that, 15 and 16 straight there at Jerry World, and then to squander that is just yeah, that's bonehead to me. What about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Cowboys too. The special teams player Sam Williams, where he like kind of ran into the punt returner against Green Bay, and they got a this bad field position after that. Everybody's like, "What the hell was he thinking?" But I like your bonehead of the week too. The whole Cowboys thing. I want to expand it. I want to go the whole NFC East. The Eagles,
Yeah,
y'all choices too. We already know how the Commanders and Giants are, but NFC East, y'all got the bonehead conference for division of the week. We might have to make a new segment with that, but NFC East, y'all definitely take a bow.
got you. That's a classic one. All right, everyone. That's going to do it for this episode of the B&E Podcast presented by Premium. Please be sure to follow us on X, formerly Twitter, and IG as well. Like us, subscribe, and comment on YouTube as well. We certainly appreciate it. The one seeds will be back in action next weekend with my Ravens and the 49ers. And we'll be back Friday for a full preview. Until next time, love one another.